Salams and welcome. Thank you for joining me in the English reading of the Holy Quran, translation and commentary by Abdullah Yusuf Ali, published by the IPCI, the Islamic Propagation Center International, from Durban, South Africa. Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are busy today with part 3 of chapter. We are busy with chapter 2, the mountain, and we are busy with chapter 52. Chapter at least known as Tour or the mountain. Right, let me just find my place very quickly. Okay, we're supposed to continue from there because that's where we ended in the last episode, but it doesn't make sense if I just continue from there, so I'll just start again from the page before, where we are talking about the explanation or the condition of the people of Jannah al-Firdaus as to the righteous people. Right, so let's start with that. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Innal muttaqina fi jannati wa nahim. Muttaqin, the people of taqwa, in Jannah. So let's look at that. As to the righteous, they will be in gardens, Jannah. As to the righteous, the muttaqin. As to the righteous, they will be in gardens and in happiness, in Jannah, in happiness, enjoying the bliss which their Lord has bestowed on them, and their Lord shall deliver them from the penalty of the fire. To them will be said, eat and drink you with profit and health because of your good deeds. They will recline with ease on thrones of dignity arranged in ranks, and we shall join them to companions with beautiful big and lustrous eyes. And those who believe and whose families follow them in faith, to them shall we join their families, nor shall we deprive them of the fruit of aught of their works, of any of their works, yet is each individual in pledge for his deeds. And we shall bestow on them of fruit and meat anything they shall desire. They shall there exchange one with another a loving cup, free of frivolity, free of all taint of ill. Right, so whatever you drink there, whether it's a wine or honey or anything, you don't get any dizziness, you don't get any hangover, nothing, no headaches, nothing like that. Right, no vomiting, no urination, all of that. Right, there's no urethra there. Right, there's no urethra, there's no anus, there's no toilet, nothing. Right, alhamdulillah, magnificent place. Right, round about, in fact, when you eat the food, and this, when it refers to fruit and meat, it's not just only those type of things, it's all the fruits of all the deeds that you do. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. Those are all the treasures of paradise. But if we talk about specifically for food like fruits and vegetables and mutton biryani and prawn curry and rice and tarkari, what hot rotis and all of that, you can eat as much as you want to without your stomach getting upset, without worrying that, I'm allergic to lactose, I've got lactose intolerance, or I'm allergic to chicken, or I've got allergic to Greek and at least the garlic and onions and all of that. There's no problem with any of that. When you finish it, you just give a small burp, and then your food is digested and you can start eating again. Right, alhamdulillah, absolutely amazing place. And there's no toilets. Right, there's no toilets, and there's a part I love, right, because I've got a problem known as IBS, so because of that you got diarrhea and a lot of other issues. I don't want to go too much into that, but imagine there's no toilets in paradise, there's no toilets in Jannah. If there's no toilets in Jannah, it means that when you're eating the food, here's a human being, when you're eating the food, and then here's your legs, the food goes down to your stomach, but from the stomach it doesn't have to go further down. You give a burp and the food is digested, right? Because after you eat finish, there's no urination. You don't go urinate. You don't have to go to the toilet for number one and number two. There's no feces, there's no defecation, there's no smell in Jannah. The only smell is the beautiful smell of musk. There's only fragrant smell in Jannah. There's no sewage pipes in Jannah, right? That means if you're not going to go to toilet, that means you have no anus. Imagine, there's no anus, because there's no need for having an anus. There's no rectum. There's no let's start from here. You'll have a stomach, right? Allahu Alam. You'll have a stomach, You don't need duodenum, you don't need jejunum, you don't need ileum, you don't need small intestine, you don't need the ascending colon, you don't need the transverse colon, you don't need the descending colon, you don't need the sigmoid colon, you don't need the rectum, you don't need the anus. So there's no hole at the back. There's no anus. Alhamdulillah, look at that, no anus. And then because you're not going to urinate, you don't need kidneys. You don't have kidneys, you don't have a ureter from there to the bladder, you don't have a bladder. You don't have a ureter. And in women, it's even better for them. Women also don't have a bladder. They don't have to urinate. Women also don't have intestines. They also don't have an anus. So no anus for the men, no anus for the woman. No anus. What does this mean? There is no gay sex, right? No anal sex, right? Alhamdulillah, look at that. Guaranteed, right? And then in addition to that, the women also so women also don't have a bladder. They also don't have to go to the toilet, but the women don't have a uterus. Imagine, they don't have a womb, right? So the woman got no periods, no monthly menstruation. Absolutely. So women will be so happy they don't have to worry about tampons and worry about the monthly cycle and all of those type of things, right? So there's no womb. There's no menstruation, there's no like pregnancy, none of those things. Everything, alhamdulillah, is absolutely wonderful because it's a new type of creation. Absolutely amazing. This is just a little of the glimpse that we get, right? So let's continue with that. In addition, we know all the other magnificent features of Jannah. For example, there's no, let's look at very, very quickly. If we compare it to South Africa, we compare it to the world very, very quickly. There's I'll just put the word no here. There's no murder. There's no rape. There's no crime. You can stay in your house, you can stay in your palace, no one will come knocking at your door at night. There's no mugging. You can go jogging in paradise, no one is going to mug you. You can go all alone, you can walk the streets of paradise, no one is going to attack you. There's no polices because there's no crime. There's no jails. There's no torture chambers. There's no torture chambers, right? There's no like these things like when torture chambers, whether it's real torture chambers to torture spies or that, or even like for BDSM, for sexual gratification, all of those things. There's no such thing like that because you don't want to harm anybody, right? So there's no armies, there's no soldiers. There's no soldiers. There's no tanks. There's no intercontinental ballistic missiles. There's no weapons. There's no guns. There's no knives. You don't want to attack someone. You don't want to kill someone. There's no crazy lunatics walking around in the street. You can walk around peacefully, right? So there's none of these things. There's no professions. You don't need professions there. You don't need doctors there because there's no illness in paradise. So you don't have doctors, you don't have hospitals, you don't have ambulances, you don't have nurses, you don't have physiotherapists, you don't have OTs, you don't have nurses and matrons of hospitals, you don't have a pediatric ward or a surgical ward or a medical ward. You have nothing like that. Then also you don't need accountants because all the accounting will be done on the day of judgment. So doctors will be redundant, accountants will be redundant, lawyers will be redundant because why? You don't need lawyers there. You don't need forensics there. You don't need contractors there. You don't need carpenters. You don't need plumbers. You don't need no profession because the malaika Allah has already prepared for you palaces. The palaces are ready, and there's no maintenance needed. It's not that the tap is no break now, and plus you don't have toilets there, so you don't have a problem with flushing toilets. And the taps, as what you mentioned before, in every house you're going to have 4 taps, right? Oh, not every house, every basin in the house. It depends how many basins you're going to have. You can have hundreds or thousands of basins, Allahu Alam, right? But every basin in your house will have 4 taps, whereas on the earth you only have 1 tap, hot and cold water. But in paradise you have the 4 rivers, so you'll have a basin, a tap with water, a tap with milk, a tap with wine, and a tap with honey. So every tap will open a different liquid coming out from there. Then you can mix and match, you can do whatever you want to. But anything that you do, you don't have to go stand in the kitchen and go fry samosas and make pies and so you know what, I'm going to cook the whole day because visitors are coming tonight and make biryani and hey, come family, come children, come help me out. Let's wash the potatoes and let's now make the biryani. No. If you want food, the malaika, the angels sort it out for you. Alhamdulillah. Plus you will have butlers, right? These young youths, they look like pearls. They're all over the place. They are your permanent waiters and butlers. They're all there to serve you, right? Because you have achieved the highest achievement. So if you wake up in the morning and you say, hey, you know what? I want to invite my mother, my father, all my friends, my family. Hey, you know what? I want to invite 1,000 people this evening for supper. They say, khalas, it's done. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about the food. You don't have to worry about nothing. You just tell the angels, I want to invite 1,000 people. Khalas, it's done. 1,000 people come eat. Even 2,000 can eat. No problem. You wake up in the morning for breakfast. You say, hey, you know what? I'm just in a mood to have breakfast with some of my family. You tell the angels, hey, you know what? I want to have breakfast. I don't want to have breakfast alone. I want to have breakfast with 1,000 people. Immediately, the breakfast table will be laid. You want scrambled eggs, you want omelets, you want toast bread, you want tea, coffee, juice, fruit salad, Greek salad, whatever you want. Everything is laid out. Alhamdulillah. That is why it is called paradise. There's no governments there. You're not going to get frustrated by a government of national unity, or by senators who are not doing their work, or by mayors or members of parliament who are just taking the money and not doing anybody's work. There's no government there, because Allah is the government. Allah is the king. You're not going to have ministers or members of parliament there. There will be many of them, many of the members of parliament, many of the MPs who they think that they are honorable big shots in this world. They will be in shame and humiliation on the day of judgment. That is why the day of judgment is also known as the day of gain. And what's the other word? I'll give you a clue. It starts with an L. The day of gain and, yes, you got it right, the day of gain and loss. So on that day, these arrogant ones who didn't do any work, but they were taking the taxpayers' money every month, and they didn't bother about the poor people in this country. They didn't bother about poverty or unemployment, or about murder, or the high HIV/AIDS, or the domestic violence, or so many people are getting murdered and raped and killed in this country. So many people are starving in this country, whereas they are fat politicians flying all over the world with their designer handbags. These are the ones where they are arrogant on this world. They will be in loss, in shame and humiliation, because the angels are recording everything that they are doing, and what's more important, what they are not doing, because many of them are doing zilch. Zilch means they are doing zero. They're taking money for mahala. They are not doing any work. But on the day of judgment, because God is watching what they are doing, whether it is the politicians in our country, or on the African continent, or anywhere in the world, these very same politicians, many of them say they are untouchable. They say, hey, nobody can touch us, nobody can take us to court, right? They forget that there is one court touchable that no one can escape, and that is the court of the Creator Supreme, the divine court. Everybody will be in the divine court on the day of judgment, from Adam and Eve to the last person. Every politician, every king, every emperor, every prince, every sultan or sultan, every minister, president, prime minister, senators, congress people, honorable members of parliament, whoever you are, from the highest to the lowest, even the pauper on the street will be called. But the pauper on the street, not the pauper, I apologize for my pronunciation, I'm not referring to a pauper on the street, I'm referring to a pauper on the street, a very poor person. This person will go into paradise, because this person doesn't have much accountability to do, as long as that person has iman, amina, salihat. You do iman and the good deeds, right? So stay well, look out to yourself. We'll continue inshallah the next one, because I get a bit distracted. So let's just see, we'll continue from verse number 22, right? Inshallah, let's continue from this, and this is part number 4. So we'll continue with part number 4, and we are busy with Surah Tur. Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.